not Gen AI.
Hey, I'm issuing a correction. That is not Gen AI. I actually made that.
You did?
Yes.
Oh,
you know Gen AI.
We can keep it. Yay!
Yes.
I love it.
Dude, you thought I Gen AI'd that? What do you think I am?
No, I don't know, man. You're like me. You're a hustler, and it's easy, but it's wrong. But you never do choose easy if it's wrong. You choose hard, even if it's you choose hard, even if it's wrong. You're the best. Oh man, you're the
dude,
best.
I fucking made that. Be fucking for real, dude.
I am
respecting my name, man.
That's so. I take that back. I take that back. I take accountability. Radical accountability. We got comments. Woo! Mama Cat Sweets. What's up? Thank you for jumping in on
She's
Twitch.
making my cake for Otis.
Oh, no way. Do we have a Instagram page where we can plug her stuff?
Yeah, Mama Cat Sweets.
All right, Mama Cat Sweets. Let's make sure
Hunter, you're gonna have to come back later because we have somebody coming on at 2:30.
No, it's good. Hang on, 2:15. Let's see here, Mama Cat Sweets. We can do a little thing. Okay, so this is what I love about like little like bakeries and sweet places like this is because follow back. Cool. Let's see here. What we got? Let's see here. We can pull up Mama Cat Sweets. Look at some creations. Hunter, I was just about to text you. We got some local politics stuff, but you're going to come in real quick and give us an update on the election. But we're going to have to kick you out because, hex yeah. Thanks. No problem. Let me check here. Okay. Can you tell I haven't been taking my ADHD medication for a couple days?
I can tell.
All right. Good. Okay. So we got the, look at this. I love, is he dead yet? That's an excellent question. That's a beautiful cake. Happy Saturday. I'm alive. Questionable. I brought this little treat over to my babes at Block, Illinois in Forest Park. Look at this. This is a beautiful cake. This is a beautiful cake. Oh, look at that. That's so nice of you. Thank you for doing that. I didn't even get to eat the cake, but look at this little Meg.
You have to look at her cookies. Okay,
cookies.
That is fantastic.
Oh, here we go. Hot girls rescue cats. I do too, but you know what? Gender's.
I do too. I guess I am a hot girl, so
I will be a hot girl. I have 2 cats that
you're having a hot girl summer.
I am having a hot girl summer. It's not a brat summer though. Hunter, are you in the chat? What's up, dude? Look at Hunter. I'm waiting for it, Meg. LOL. Love those folks. That's awesome. The dispensary. Oh, that's great. Adoption, cats. This is what's up, dude. We need to be baking shit and giving it to people.
Yeah.
That's so cute. This looks great. I'm jealous this isn't on the West Coast.
Dude, I think that this is an amazing this guy. I love this guy. About last night. We're not having that conversation.
She said to go further down. And then I want to give you an update on the Anna Haley campaign thing.
Whoa, look at this skill.
So cute.
Holy cow. We got Squirtle. We got we have Squirtle. Wait, who am I talking to? Like, okay, yeah. We have a Squirtle here. We have a Charizard. We have a Pokeball, and we have Pikachu. And if you know anything about Pokemon, I love Pokemon and barbecue too. That's from Obama's speech from that one thing, but he said something very bad. EMR, I don't know what that is. River Edge Hospital. Look at this corporate swag made by not a corporate shill. I love it. Whoa, this is beautiful. Is that marzipan? Mama Cat, is that marzipan? What are you using as your medium here? She'll tell us. All right, Hunter, you have.
Hold on. Pull up what I just sent you in the private chat, and then we'll let Hunter talk it. It's very quick.
Okay. Oh, we gotta. Oh, this is great.
Okay. Kate Leg has been terminated from the Haley Stevens campaign after my inquiry to them about her dual role as a consultant for Palantir. Oh my god. What is going on? I gotta put on my sunglasses, man. The truth hurts, dude. The truth hurts. The truth hurts. Every accusation is a confession. What?
Mhm.
Hold on.
H-bone.
This person's also a third-way staffer. There's a three-way. This is
Oh,
literally
see, that
a
makes sense. That's
third-way
literally,
three-way.
but that's literally what their MO is right now. Is like the what's it called? Putting consultants for tech firms into campaigns
Wait, hang on a
without,
second. Let me see
it's
if
so
I-
fucking crazy.
Oh yeah, here we go. I got my Irish tin whistle. 1 second. Let me just do a little soliloquy about this. So, Haley Stevens is full of it. Her consultant made a shit load of money working for Palantir, and that's why Haley doesn't seem like she drinks beer. She's a corporate shill with no.
Okay, I'm gonna go get my weed pen, but you guys talk about the election because we have 10 minutes.
Sorry, I'm just having a little whimsical moment today.
Oh, before we talk about the election, we need to talk about some people doing some dumb shit.
Wait, 1 second. I need 1 more minute to talk about this because I want Chris to make it a short. So, Chris, really quickly. Okay, so Haley Stevens has a consultant that is terminated from her campaign because she also worked for Palantir, which is not a surprise to anybody who actually pays attention to the Democratic Party. And now we know for certain that Abdul El-Sayed is the answer to this kind of corporate shillery that is in service of people like Peter Thiel. The truth will out. Hunter, I'm going to take us out of that beautiful transition the way we know how. Can you guess how?
How? I have no idea how you're going to do it unless it's
Hunter,
another.
it's the same button that I always push whenever we have something to celebrate, like Haley Stevens. Let's see here. Meg, what kind of food are you interested in? What are you hungry for?
I'm autistic and I only like my safe foods when I'm feeling a little burnty. So I've just been wanting like butter noodles and mac and cheese.
All right, I'm gonna give you the butter noodle version of the way we celebrate in this podcast.
Okay.
Sorry, everybody. This is the butter noodle. This is like the what?
A man of conviction.
What is happening?
This is the butter noodle version.
You spoke the truth.
Carry the flame, Mike. I'm
When
not
the
sure how you don't know
cost
this.
was light. He
What is
lived
happening,
for
guys?
Jesus,
Yeah, he did.
unafraid to die.
What the fuck?
Butter noodle version of We Are Charlie Kirk.
We
Here.
are Charlie Kirk. We carry
All right.
the flame.
Yes, Hunter, good job.
Fight for the gospel.
Okay. All right, guys, let's move along.
Sorry. It's just I'm a comedian.
Traumatizing Meg. It's a fun.
Sorry, Meg. I know that butter noodles are your safe food, but this is definitely not your safe stream right now. My bad.
It's not my safe moment. No.
Okay. What do we? Okay. So now what do we? All right, Hunter. Tell us. You got
Hunter.
7 minutes. Tell us about.
Yeah.
this.
Okay. First thing, I'm not sure how much we should cover this, but I'm gonna drop a bad actor into the chat. A bunch of people last weekend got this past couple days got this really interesting text claiming that that there was asking people why there was such a low turnout No Kings protest last weekend. Fun fact: there wasn't a No Kings protest last weekend.
Right, I was gonna say there was not an No Kings protest.
Trying to scam and grift off of it, doing like one of those push polls, and then get the donations at the end. This group's called the New Digital Now Pack, and they got called out by none other than Leah Greenberg indirectly yesterday.
Who's
Leah?
Who's Leah?
Leah Indivisible Leah, co-founder of Indivisible Leah Greenberg.
Whoa.
The more based of the two Greenbergs, I'd say. Nothing against Ezra, but Leah's actually really with it, I'd argue. And it turns out what was actually happening was this group was lying about Good Trouble Lives On, a BIPOC-led movement that had a protest last weekend, or they were lying about the Ice Out protests, which were organized by groups like PSL. So either way, they were lying about other groups and fundraising off of what they called a low turnout for other groups, which was actually a really good turnout for voting rights protests and anti-ICE protests that weren't connected on the same weekend. I did a lot of work on the back end helping promote both of them. And they did pretty well, from my understanding. The anti-ICE stuff got a lot more coverage, which makes sense. But I may or may not have called them out directly on Blue Sky after figuring out who they were. And it didn't go well for them. A lot of people were in their comment section asking them if they're going to give the money they fundraise to the BIPOC organizations they're grifting off of. And would it shock you to know that they're replying to a bunch of comments, but not those ones?
A bunch of what?
A bunch of comments, but not the ones they're asking them about whether or not they're going to give any of that money or actually provide any services to the BIPOC organizers that they're grifting off of.
Ugh.
So, dealing with that today. Also, these people are more active on the non-blue site than on Blue Sky, so the Blue Sky people weren't happy about that. But on Twitter, on what was formerly Twitter, they were actually attacking our good friend Katabu Ghazaleh for criticizing the DNC.
Who? What?
You leave our girl alone, motherfucker.
No. I have a mustache now. No.
Yeah, hold on. Let me pull
I'm ready to fucking fight.
Let me pull up the original thread I made. That's not the funnier one, but this one, if you scroll down, it's got all the cat info. And
if
then
you're joining us on YouTube, Twitch, or anywhere else, you should be joining us on YouTube, Twitch, or Substack. If you are just joining us right now, Hunter, our political correspondent, the Steve Kornacki of Party Crashers, is making a big story about ops. The ops are out. But we do this because someone needs to stand up for what's right. Hunter, tell me what I'm reading here, so I don't have to.
All right. So this is a scam text that was sent out over the past couple of days, claiming that there was a large No Kings protest that had low turnout, and asking people what happened, and if you give us money, we'll make that protest bigger for you next time. Well, problem number one was there wasn't actually a No Kings protest last weekend. There were nationwide protests, both of which were much more successful than one might have projected they'd be. One led by BIPOC groups for voting rights, right? Organizing against the terrible Supreme Court decision that's making it harder for Black people to be fairly represented in Congress. And the other one was the ICE Out protests, which were a direct response to ICE murdering, 4 people in 9 days. I feel like that's a pretty good thing to protest about. 5051 did some back end work supporting both of them and posted about it, but, not anything I take credit for. But these guys, who I had never heard of before until this text was sent out, were trying to fundraise off of the supposed failures of those BIPOC groups and of those immigrants' rights groups. And how much money do you think that they donated to those groups with the money that they fundraised?
How much?
We have no idea, because the dozens of people in their comment sections now asking them about it, there hasn't been a response. There's been a response to a whole bunch of other stuff, but not that. But if you go down, there's a couple extra kickers here. Number one is going to be what they were doing to our friend Kat, which is they were criticizing her for talking about how after she got federally indicted for protesting against ICE, after she got brutalized by ICE, the DNC did not do anything to stand up for her or help her. She talked to some of the larger donors, and they kind of, they left her on Schitt's Creek. And the people that stood by her were a bunch of small dollar donors, right? Active organizers, local people. Those people were the ones supporting Kat.
Her friends?
Yeah, her friends. I donated,
us?
right? Like, you know what we do. But nonetheless, they're out there saying you shouldn't criticize the networking donors as anything other than hardworking, because that's what they are. Well, they're harder working.
Well, these fucking grifters.
So that's
these
part
fucking
one.
grifters.
I also want to know, why are they giving Elon Musk money, right? Like, is your sub 350 follower account that can't crack 30 likes worth giving the world's first trillionaire over at least $32 a year that money, which you're fundraising off of No Kings people? Fun fact about No Kings people: who do they not like very much? The world's first trillionaire, the king himself. So that's problem number one. And problem number two is my favorite thing about all this is right below this is their own description of who they are.
Oh, that's because every year Democratic supporters donate millions to so-called scam PACs. These entities bombard donors with urgent texts and emails promising to 5x match their donation, which they say will go directly to help elect Democrats. And if they donate to help reach some arbitrary goal, it will be the end of democracy as we know it. Leah Greenberg, here we go. Pro tip, if you're going to send out a text blast fraudulently claiming you're the organizer of No Kings and fraudulently soliciting donations, maybe don't send it to me directly. World Star.
Look, there's a lot of criticisms that you can make of No Kings, right? Totally fair. There's a lot of things you can make about No Kings, about 5051. One of the things that is true about 5051 is we don't fundraise nationally. So it's really annoying to see organizations fundraise nationally when they don't do shit. And then not just fundraise off of our backs, fundraise off of BIPOC groups' backs. Groups like Black Voters Matter, groups like Voto Latino, right? Like groups that are actually putting in the work day in, day out. Not to mention the hundreds, if not thousands, of local groups full of different marginalized identities. And it's two white guys. Well, actually, I call them two white idiots, but I do need to make an addendum to this. Because it turns out that one of their two leads is a member of a new union, which is an ultra-Zionist group advocating for greater Israeli-U.S. integration.
Oh, wow. That's shocking. You mean to tell me that the people that wow, that's crazy.
I know, right? So, yeah, anyways, their responses are hilarious. If you guys want to join in on the fracas, you can go to
I have some
whatever. But anyways,
Hunter, this is a good story. We would be lost in the world of bullshit if it wasn't for people that paid attention to shit like this, like you. I actually found something I think that we can all enjoy some Schadenfreude of, which is
please.
In the NY Times embarrassing anti-DSA meltdown for establishment Democrats. Oh, you can't see it?
No, I said let's see it.
Oh, okay, got it. Who love them. This is a crisis for establishment Democrats and the corporate centrist press who love them. This is a crisis moment. Democratic Socialists of America candidates won several Democratic primaries for Congress and the state legislature in New York. Meg, were we there? I forgot. Were we there?
Where?
In New York.
At the DSA party?
Yeah. Was that happening? No, we weren't at the DSA party.
Yeah. We were not at the DSA party, but we were there when that happened. Yes. We crashed that party. We crashed the Lander party.
Is that bad? Did we break it? Is it bad when we beat the corporate shills? Hunter,
did we not
go like 37 for 65 on our voter guide that night? We were like 100%. So let me keep reading this thing. I want to have the voter guide up because Sway's helped us make sure that the Momdanification of America is complete. Sorry, everybody. I'm a little disjointed today. Okay. New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani's favorability has increased to 58% of New Yorkers, with only 26% disapproving. It's basically Michael Rappaport and then other 25%, which, as The Guardian pointed out, is better than the Democratic Party as a whole. For establishment Democrats and the corporate centrist press who love them, this is a crisis moment. The New York Times has been vocal about its desire to keep DSA-backed candidates out of office, especially Mamdani. The recent momentum for the DSA inspired the paper to publish a new story on 7/19 that painted DSA's pro-tenant, pro-worker, tax-the-rich platform not as a threat to the money class, but as the project of white gentrifiers suppressing Black and Latino electoral power. Meg, thoughts on that?
Well, the thing that's difficult with this is there is a lot of fair criticism about how DSA members are mostly white gentrifiers in their community, not to say all. And also there is I think this is probably where it was probably an AstroTurf campaign, because at the same time, a lot of people, and it's made its way into the mainstream, and it is true. And also every single political party is systemically racist. And the Democratic Party, DNC Democratic Party, is more fucking racist. Not that I want to ever have the lesser of two evils. I definitely believe we need to call things out where we see them and we need to improve. I'm not DSA, neither are you, not defending. But if you're going to fucking pull that card, look at the fucking moderate Dems. Be fucking for real.
And you know where we don't have any moderate Dems? The Mondanification voting guide. Thank you, Hunter.
Thank
Look,
you,
hold on. I
Hunter.
need to add one thing to that that's really important. There's been a sort of recurring criticism of Abdul El Sayed and other progressive voices, especially DSA adjacent ones. Fun fact, Abdul is not a DSA member, so I don't know where the establishment got that one from. But, DSA deserves some fair criticism, and I can levy it. I mean, I'm also a DSA. I'm a recent DSA member, so believe me, I didn't go in unaware of some problems with it. I'm aware that there are, but nonetheless, I'm trying to make things better in as much as I can. But my question to everyone who's talking about how white Abdul's rallies are and criticizing it for not being as diverse as it should be, are any of you going to post your rallies? We going to post a Haley Stevens rally? We going to post any centrist leaders' rallies? Are they any more diverse, or are they way wider? Or what's probably the real answer? No one's in the seats. No one's in the stands. They're criticizing the whiteness of a rally, and they can't even throw a rally. So that's sort of my response to that. Is I would love to see the photos of the empty bleachers that you're in, because let me tell you, the only thing worse than a rally that's too white is a rally that didn't happen because literally no one wants the shit you're selling. And that's kind of what's going on there. I do not believe that these, centrist politicians, broadly speaking, there are some of them in some places who can pull out a good crowd. Don't get me wrong. There's some people who represent their districts incredibly well. But broadly speaking, they're not being rallied because of their forward-thinking policies, like having a national service or slightly increasing a tax credit or even more tax cuts for billionaires. No one's coming out for that. Some people might be coming out for your excellent constituent services, but no one's coming out for the policies that you're selling. If you want people to actually
that is a good takedown, Hunter. You're son of a bitch. I hate it when I'm 20, 30. How old am I? 37. Yeah, if I talked like you when I was 23, I would be like the owner of Snapchat now. Because I was an idiot when I was 23. What a waste of that talent.
Same though.
Okay, so the article stated that this is the New York Times article saying that Black and Latino leaders ask, what do socialist wins mean for New York? The article stated that after the wins by Democratic Socialists in gentrifying neighborhoods across the city, there was worry that work to empower Black and Latino voters to pick who represents them was being erased. In New York City, most of DSA's congressional nominees and backed candidates are people of color. Of the 9 DSA state lawmakers currently serving in New York, 8 of them are either Black, Latino, or Asian. The co-chair of the New York City DSA, Gustavo Gordillo, is Peruvian American, and Susan Kang, who often comments from the DSA perspective on Spectrum News NY1, is Korean American. Oh, but the Times has a theory. The tension is not centered on ethnicity or race of the candidates supported by the DSA. I'm doing my New York Times. Wait, no, why aren't I not doing Ezra Klein? The tension is not centered on the ethnicity or race of the candidates supported by the DSA. Many are Black and Latino. It is more about the group itself. A 2021 national survey of DSA members found that the group was 85% white, a decrease from 2013 when 96% of members were white. About a third of the group identified as teachers, academics, white-collar workers, or tech workers. Okay. Thank you, New York Times. Senator Jabari Brisport of DSA told FAIR, it's racist to say a Black leader like myself is secretly operating on the whims of white people. It implies Black socialist politicians don't have agency. I'm not going to drop my mic, but I would, because that guy just... Okay, here we go. Mamdani won the primary without the support of a majority of Black voters, one thought to be a requisite in New York. The New York Times noted as evidence that Black voters' bread and butter issues may get overlooked. Yet far more Black voters than white or Latino voters went into the primary undecided. And in the general election, Mamdani resoundingly defeated Cuomo in majority Black precincts. 5 takeaways from Jabal Momin's loss. The congressman who lost to George Latimer was the first squad
Fuck Latimer
in a painful defeat for the Democratic lap. Yo, first of all, can I just say that I hate it when they take victory laps on Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman, because I'm just going to say this, all right? Jamal Bowman didn't lose his seat, okay? Somebody bought it. But if Jamal Bowman wanted his seat back, he could get it back by sheer force of will and a microphone with an amp. that you can buy a Guitar Center used or at a pawn shop, because that guy has more charisma, talent, and political prowess than any American politician of our generation. Jamal Bowman, if you've bought his seat and he hasn't taken it back, it's because he doesn't need it. He doesn't need a seat to have power. He's one of the most powerful people.
Oh, hell yeah. You snapped there.
They're just
snap.
They're just rent. Wait, you said I snapped?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, because you can't buy Jamal Bowman's seat. You can't buy Cori Bush's seat. You just rented them. They don't need to sit down in Congress and get free haircuts and all that BS to be powerful. They don't need.
They can build power on their own.
They got
don't
power
need to sit on stacks.
So when DSA Congress member Jamal Bowman was ousted by a white primary challenger loaded with AIPAC money, the New York Times takeaways warned only of racial, class, and generational splits, not political erasure of black constituents. Boom. Fair Media Watch, great Instagram account. Highly recommend you guys follow them, folks. Follow them. I'm gonna put a link to the thing we put here. Make sure you give Fair Media Watch a look. They do some great work. There is a lot of news that I've been telling people about. Like, it appears that we're going into McCarthyism 2.0, which I want to touch on. If Andrew jumps in, we're gonna have to Hunter. We're gonna pass.
Yeah, no, I will go work on some emails to get some press coverage.
Do not
worry. I got a million things I can do. I'm just here because I love to support y'all.
No, I love you. You came. Well, can you give us maybe a quick rundown, like 2-3 minutes, just what you saw in Arizona last night? I'm gonna pull up the Mom Donification voting guide because our friends at Sway. If you aren't a member of our guide, Hunter is our political director of the Party Crashers. Join our voting guide. It's really cool. You can vote for people like running for everything, assemblyman, water commissioner, anybody who has policies like Zoran Mamdani, so that we can take power from the bottom up.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's what Hunter does and he does a lot of stuff. So Hunter, you're
gonna have to look into Chicago school board races, by the way. It's crazy.
Yeah. I've been sent some interesting info about it. I'm gonna have some opinions once we get to it. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I actually grew up in school board organizing. Chris Rufo's TRT strategy shit. We were a test case here in Orange County, California. They tried to astroturf to stop a just pro-diversity, pro-tolerance, pro-golden rule, pretty moderate. Honestly, I thought it was disappointingly moderate, a lot of the what was the proposals, but they tried to stop it, and they failed so badly in the county of Reagan because of students, parenting, teacher organizing. There was something like 80% of the district was in favor. That it led to a moderation of Rufo's strategy nationwide. Instead of attacking ethnic studies, he stayed exclusively on CRT and he started moving towards attacking standards instead of attacking specific electives or classes, because he failed miserably attacking both of those. And he did end up succeeding in a number of places, losing in a number of places. His biggest success is probably the election of Glenn Youngkin as governor in Virginia.
Wait, that was God damn it. So Hunter, tell me about, before we get into the school board thing, because that's what Andrew's going to do, is talk about school board stuff. Maybe you can come in.
He's going to talk about Chuy's seat.
Oh, he's going to talk. So Hunter, tell us how we did it. Oh, he's breaking up. Oh, Andrew's here. All right, Hunter, we're going to get Andrew in.
Yep.
But you should come back.
For Arizona. See you guys later.
We'll talk about Arizona tomorrow. I love you. Sorry.
Bye.
This is my fault. I booked double.
Oh,
Andrew.
I handle scheduling.
I know. It's my fault, dude. It's my fault. What's up, Andrew?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Doing great. You look great. We both have mustaches. Why does yours work and mine does not? What? All right.
No comment.
Andrew, I'm gonna let Meg run the show.
All right.
Okay. I just smoked weed, so you're gonna have to bear with me here. But the IL4 race has been a very interesting one. I'll just say that. I don't really know which direction we're going to want to go in with this one. Why don't
Illinois
you
4th District.
Yes.
Illinois 4th District, Chicago Bish, who ended up not being able to make it, wanted to talk about it. I'll like clip it for her later. But if you want to give us like what is the deal? Give us start to finish from the getting on the ballot to now.
Andrew, can you just do me a favor before we do that? Can you just tell the audience who may be new to the show who you are, what you do to live, thrive, and survive? Why you're qualified to talk about this? Because God knows I'm not. I'm wearing an Irish tin whistle and sunglasses right now. Tell us what's up.
Yeah. So.
Sober too. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm Andrew Herrera. I'm president of Herrera Strategy. I've been an organizer on the Southwest side, which is almost wholly encompassed by the 4th Congressional District, for fucking 12 years now, which is kind of crazy. Just keep getting older. And then Herrera Strategy is a full-service public affairs firm. It's a fully progressive firm. We push progressive policies. We support progressive organizations and running their campaigns and getting attention around them. So have been working with a lot of these folks to protect immigrants, protect workers, protect the environment, all that stuff for a long time now. So pretty enmeshed in all of this.
Yeah, Andrew's a pretty talented guy who could definitely be making a lot more money for easier ways, but instead he's chosen the life of she's like Meg. They're both incredibly talented people that could be cashing in on their skill set by like doing horrible
So
things.
true. You know what? I'm throwing in the towel. It's time. It's time to sell out, guys.
Your vacation home.
Announcement.
Go do some evil shit for a while. Come on. Come on. No, Andrew's great people. He's great. We come from the same. Actually, we come from like the same neighborhood, and then we ended up living in the same neighborhood for a while, and we had no idea.
Yeah.
We hung out in Philly, which is an entirely different planet.
Met in Philly and realized we grew up next to each other, and then we lived next to each other for most of the decade.
That's what's up, dude. That's why Chicago's great. I'm like Captain Planet. I don't like to get too far away from the city. Now, I'm getting too far away from the point. Tee up the 4th Congressional District race right now and why it is drawn. I think it's drawn national attention because the Democrats were talking about it when it first kind of emerged, the drama of it.
Oh yeah, because they tried to do
Censure.
something. Yeah, censure. Yeah.
So I'll give you guys a quick rundown. So they used to call it still kind of is. Can you pull a map of the 4th Congressional District up, Megan?
Yes, absolutely.
Or Steve?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, Steve's driving. He's got more energy.
So in Chicago, the machine, people talk about the Chicago machine still. It doesn't really exist. Not like it used to. And so what they used to always do is if you had a really strong progressive in city council who was kind of making problems for everybody and it was talented enough and was talented enough to like basically give Mayor Daley and Speaker Madigan or whomever else heartburn, they would banish them to Congress basically. So they'd promote them out of their hair. The old expression used to be, and so they would say about like aldermen and stuff. They say, send them to Congress. Alderman is far too important because the alderman was the most important cog in the Democratic Party machine. They're the ones who were tasked with all the turnout, the electoral turnout, and that's what the Democratic Party kind of ran off of. And so Louis Pierce.
And just a quick thing for people who aren't from Chicago who are definitely going to find this interesting. Aldermen are like city council members. They represent the individual municipalities within the city. Chicago's a city of neighborhoods, and each neighborhood has an alder person. When Andrew's talking about the Chicago machine, he means the political machine. It's called the Windy City, not because of the wind, but because of all the noise politicians have made over the years. And if you hear him talk about Mike Madigan, he's referring to Mike Madigan, whose best friend, Fast Eddie Verdoliak. Him and Mike Madigan committed several crimes that would make Buddy Cianci of Providence, Rhode Island blush. I think Mike Madigan is now in jail.
I think he's still in jail.
And he's referring to the
I didn't know this about him.
Yeah,
I didn't know any of this.
The Daily Political Machine, which is based in Bridgeport, which is kind of in it's in the 30s. It's south of the city, about 30 blocks. It's where like Irish Catholic city workers work, and that's kind of where Mayor Daley, the old man, and his son, That was kind of the base of their political power. So Andrew, sorry to cut you off. I just wanted to zoom out for a second because it's a really interesting. There's a ton of interesting characters. Like for sure, all of these guys are expert political manipulators, and I know that they would all take a shitload of money from me playing pool. Like they're street.
Yeah. Well, and the interesting thing too, if anyone's ever interested in this, they should read the book called Boss by Mike Royko. It's not very long and it's very entertaining. Royko was a legendary Sun-Times journalist from the city.
Love him.
And so yeah, it's worth a read. And anyway, I could get sidelined into all of the history of Chicago machine politics, but the important thing for this
one day,
I'm happy to do that.
Yes.
And we should bring Pogo on. He was a former WRD commissioner, and he knows probably more about Chicago political history than anybody I know. So it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, so basically what we had in the 80s in Chicago, and bear with me for a second, is that the Latinos kind of broke through into the political establishment for the first time, in that we had our first ever people elected. And so the first two independent Latino aldermen were Chuy Garcia and Luis Gutierrez. And so Luis Gutierrez was like, straight communist. He's all about like independence for Puerto Rico. He's Puerto Rican. The general divide in Chicago too is like Latinos on the northwest side historically were predominantly Puerto Rican, and southwest side is predominantly Mexican. Through the 90s and this huge waves of Mexican immigration that was driven by NAFTA, the whole city became more Mexican. So it's like less of a pronounced divide these days. But Luis Gutierrez was like the king of Puerto Rican Chicago, and Chuy was the one for Mexican Chicago. And so that divide has kind of, persisted and blah, blah. Louis, they sent him to Congress. I forget when. It was sometime in the 90s. And he became, the Latino congressman. They sent him to Congress by creating the 4th Congressional District. And the 4th Congressional District, so that's Division Street right there with the big Puerto Rican flag.
Yeah, big Puerto Rican flag. That's Humboldt Park. Go to Humboldt Park.
So if you actually looked up not worth doing right now, but if you look up the old 4th Congressional District map, it looks like a straight horseshoe. The new one is a little bit less horseshoey because they created the 3rd Congressional District out of it, which is Delia Ramirez's district. And so those are the two, biggest, highest proportion Latino voters in the entire state. And the thing was, back in the day, like in the 80s, when we still enforced the Voting Rights Act, they would create these majority minority districts, and because minority voters, for many reasons, vote at lower levels than white voters, you would pack the district with like 70% voters of that ethnicity, and then it was basically guaranteed that you'd get an elected from that ethnicity. So what's happened now is they've kind of diluted it a little bit, so we have two like 60% or somewhere around there majority Latino districts, and 3 and 4. And so that's kind of like the general context. Like that's why 4 matters a lot for Latino voters. It was the first Latino congressional district ever in the state of Illinois. It is still a majority Latino district, and it encompasses a lot of the areas. If you look at the map there, you've got Cicero, and then if you go like south from there, it's Berwyn, and then east into that is Chicago and all like Latino Chicago neighborhoods. That is probably the most impacted part of the city from the recent ice raids. Including Brookfield, and then following I-55 up on both sides of the river. It's very, very heavily Latino. And so we're getting hammered right now on with ICE and with a lot of other things that are really impacting the Latino community.
And this is, this is like, this is okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So this is Berwyn, this is Cicero, this is like Midway Airport's down here.
Yeah.
Like this is all okay. Actually, okay, that makes sense. All right.
That's
cool.
like literally when I do ice patrol, it was like just right there.
Yeah, and we have Broadview also. It's in the 4th Congressional District, which is
right, because Broadview's down here, right?
Broadview. Here? I think so.
It's like down here somewhere.
It's like right off 55.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's why this is important. And then so the big scandal, right, is that Chuy went and he just declined to file his nominating petitions. So every candidate has to
collect signatures when they're running for office, and they collect a certain number of signatures, and it allows them to run for office as a member of the Democratic Party, right? So they can run in the Democratic primary. And there's deadlines for everything in order to make the ballot. And so Chuy didn't make the ballot, or he didn't submit the petitions that he'd collected. So he basically chose at the last minute not to apply to be on the ballot. And instead, Patty Garcia, in low relation, who was his chief of staff, she did submit petitions, right? And so what you have there is that everyone's saying, "Oh, this was a switcheroo." You know, they're
basically. Sorry, I just want to get into the mechanics of the scam, because if you don't know, it's not a scam. It's just a very ham-fisted way of circumventing. Basically, if you know you are going to, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Andrew, this is all Expo, not Sharpie. The reason we have experts on is so that they can correct me. And Meg laughs at it because it's usually pretty funny. But so basically my understanding of the situation is that in order for you to get on a ballot, you need to meet a certain amount of signatures on a petition by a deadline. And it takes time to get, say, 10,000 signatures from constituents in order to get on the ballot. Now, if somebody was going to retire, say, and waited up until the deadline to petition, to file, and that person didn't announce until the deadline, the petition deadline, that means that no one would be petitioning to get on the ballot because you think you're going to be up against somebody who's been in office for 30 years. What's the point, right? So by waiting, Chuy could have possibly told his staffer, hey, I'm going to wait to announce my retirement. You have time to petition quietly, and then he can drop off of the ballot, and then she will file the petition, and she may not have to run against people. Right? Like, and I'm not trying to say it's bad. I'm just trying to say that's how it could have worked. Right?
And that's what people, I think, see. And also,
right.
Like, that's political strategy, is it not?
Yeah, no, I mean, that seems like legal, though. It seems like kind of.
It is all legal. And like, there's no, the thing is saying, well, they didn't tell anybody, but it's like, you're not required to put out a press release saying that you're, circulating. Right. And you are circulating in public. So like,
it just sounds like he has game.
Eventually gets out. So look, I think I've been on both sides of this, right? I remember when Senator Tony Munoz did the same thing, and on the last day, it used to be that you would just like resign from office, particularly for state office, and then the committeeman would just appoint somebody, and then like appoint their son or something like that. That's so frowned on now that even though it's technically like still legally possible, they just don't do it anymore. And so now this is
thank for that.
Yeah, I think probably that's true. And so you do have this. What I would say is the optics on this are not great, because you want to say, oh, we want to have a robust competitive primary, all these kinds of things. And then where it gets kind of weird is this. I forget how Marie. What's her name?
Yeah,
Gluesenkamp Perez.
Yeah,
Gluesenkamp, something like that.
She's wild, man. She's like a MAGA Democrat. I have no fucking idea where she's at. Anything.
She's very APAC crazy. Yeah.
Pro-ice.
She's like the one who always votes with Republicans, like her and Claire.
She dresses
and
like Fetterman. She talks like Fetterman. She behaves like Fetterman. And politically, she's exactly like Fetterman. I mean, if you look at her, you think, oh, that's not Fetterman. And then you hear her talk, move, think, and you're like, it's John Fetterman.
Is there a video of her trying to censure? Weird. There's probably some funny video.
Oh yeah, I can get that up.
And so like so she goes and she says, so Chuy, no, this is important. And I've known Chuy for
Wait,
over 10
can I just
years.
say something about what you before about Chuy? I used to live in Chuy's district in the 4th district for 6 years. Chuy was a great representative. Like, I could call his office for constituent services, ask him about different things that were happening. His people knew what was going on. It seemed like they were interested to talk to us. So, and politically, I'm very aligned with what Chuy's about. So I'm also kind of torn on this whole thing. But
I think so. I think it's a really important point, Steve, is that Chuy, not only was he the first Latino, I think Rudy Lozano was first, but then Rudy was assassinated, and then Chuy was the second Mexican American alderman. And Chuy broke the deadlock in the council wars when he was appointed. He was a big ally of Harold Washington. He's always been a mainstay of progressive politics, even in like the dark days of the 90s when progressives couldn't win anything. And even the early 2000s, Chuy was always the one holding it down. He's dedicated his entire career to public service. If you walk anywhere around on the Southwest side, people love Chuy because people know that he's been fighting for them for 40 years. He's been knocking on the doors. I would talk to old ladies, the senoras who would be like, oh, Chuy helped me carry my bags, my groceries to my car 15, 20 years ago. Like that kind of thing, and a real kind of example of servant leadership.
Yeah.
And somebody he's a real one, and somebody who has truly given his life to his community. And so, and then, his stated reason for dropping out was, I know to be true, which is that his doctor said that his heart was in bad shape. He couldn't deal with the constant stress. He had a child who passed, and so he's raising his grandchild, and his wife has kind of a chronic condition that's requiring increasing treatment. So,
wait. There's an elderly person in the Congress who's actually taking care of their family instead of living out their days in office.
Right. And,
what?
What? With all the discourse around that's something that is being swept under the rug here, and people, I think, are being particularly callous about it. And also, I think people forget, these people are still human beings, right? And so he's making a very difficult decision to walk away from his career at one of the moments of greatest need that his community has ever faced. And also everyone knows the reason people don't retire from Congress is because the longer you're there, you get seniority and you get access to like committee chairmanships and all these other things. And so we actually lose power by him walking away. It's a very difficult decision for him to have made. And he made the decision to be with his family after a lifetime of putting his community before family many times. And so, it's a decision, a deeply personal decision, and one that I personally don't feel like I'm in any position to judge. And honestly, I would hope that I would make the same decision if I were him.
Yeah.
And so, to be splitting hairs about the exact timing of this, I think is callous. Bless you.
Thank you.
And then the big thing though is, and what kind of drives me nuts about this. So you have Chuy also has been one of the greatest allies of Palestine for 40 years. Mm-hmm. He has always been on the side of Palestinian justice and liberation, always. And he's also been one of the people who's reached across the aisle to make sure that, Black and Latino Chicago are able to stand together. He's the one who's been for criminal justice reform. He's the one who's been with our Black brothers and sisters. He has helped bring up an entire generation of Latino leaders who see our interests as deeply and inextricably intertwined with the interests of Black working people as well. And so, which is particularly important on the Southwest side, where we have a lot of communities that overlap in a very segregated city like Chicago. And so like all of this is so important. And there's just the deepest irony is that we have Byron, who is somebody who is very loudly and performatively in favor of Palestinian rights. And he says a lot of things that many of us agree with in the most kind of performative and disruptive way possible. And many of us see that and say like, oh yeah, like absolutely. Like here's somebody who's really fighting the fight, who's not afraid of power, what have you. But then because of kind of Byron has also been like a longtime opponent of Chuy's. He's very salty.
Just to get everybody who's caught up, just so everybody knows, this is the independent who's running against Chuy. His name's Byron Cicho Lopez. And he's running against Patty Garcia, who is long
or
time.
He was trying.
He's trying to run.
He's trying to run.
He was trying.
It's one of those things where, and I'm just saying from an outside in, Andrew, just so that our audience kind of gets the tension here, which is that Chuy has been a long time Palestinian ally. He's been an ally of the community. He's done a lot to build bridges, and to your point, his district has been disproportionately affected by ICE persecution and torture people. And so since he's got a senior seat in the Senate, when the state or in Congress, where the stakes are highest, especially when you need seniority to exercise power, he made this difficult decision on behalf of personal crisis. And that's a lot of that context is being stripped out of the conversation cynically, I would argue, just as an outsider looking at the race from the outside in, because Meg and I are constantly, and I don't mean to interrupt your role, Andrew. I just kind of want to.
This is great.
Like, I think my biggest issue, like with the way that the race is being carried out, is that you got a guy who everybody who's progressive agrees that Palestine should be free. And everybody who's progressive agrees that, like, when somebody is a true servant of their community, they know when it's right to step down. And part of your community is your family. Like, my argument is that, like, Chuck Schumer doesn't give a shit about our future, because if he gave a shit about our future, he would be spending his with his grandkids. Chuck Schumer cares about his career. And if Congress really cared about stuff, then when the health became too much, or when family stuff came too much, they would do the right thing and step down to protect their legacy. The same way we criticized Ruth Bader Ginsburg because she knew that she could die in office and we would lose political power as a result of her putting her health first. And I think Chuy did make the right call here, just from a person. I respect the leader who leads his family and helps his family, you know, and like you said, he's made a lot of community sacrifices for his community. He is really a servant leader. I knew a lot of people in Pilsen who knew him personally. Like, so it's really disappointing for me to see someone who purports to be this progressive voice and has been cynically attacking a lifelong progressive who was a progressive in Chicago as a Latino man when it was unsafe to be a Latino progressive leader. In
His best friend was literally assassinated. And
right.
You know, for holding public office. And you know, they say it was a random gang shooting. Like, okay, like, gang members don't like break into your living room and just shoot you in cold blood. And so, you know, you look at all these things, and I think that, you know, there's an ahistorical kind of view of this. I know people are very heated right now. There's an impatience. There's basically this feeling that if anybody's been in public office for long enough, that they're bad. And we forget that, like, we stand on the shoulders of those who came before us, and any of the progressive movement, like, there are people who have broken ground, and people forget that the first black alderman was also murdered. The first independent black alderman was murdered. And so, like, we've always had to pay a price for breaking through into the halls of power. And Chuy was one of, you know, the very first ones to do so. And so I think that's really important for us to keep in view. And then, you know, you see the so just to kind of like fast forward now, and so not to kind of belabor any points here, we have this race happening now, and I think there's a few funny narratives out of this, right? So a few things, right? First of all, there's a Republican candidate who's running. I forget her name. The Republicans don't matter in the fourth.
It's Chicago, yeah,
whatever. And then
nice try.
Nice try, yeah.
God, what's his name? The mayor of Lyons is running, the white guy.
Okay. Not in the 4th district, man. Yeah, bro. If your township has a lacrosse team, good luck in the 4th district. Like, I don't think that shit's gonna play at the Cindy Lynn Motel.
Yeah. So his name is Chris Getty, right? And Chris Getty, his dad was also the mayor of Lyons. Lyons is kind of like old white, like the white ethnic machine still exists out there, like Lyons, Berlin, Cicero, those kinds of places, still run by those old crews. And the thing is, he went and got his 10,000 signatures, right? And so while Myra and Byron are complaining about how, like, this is voter suppression, Chris Getty didn't complain at all. He went and got his 10,000 signatures. They were all good. And that's it, right? And then Ed Hershey is running as the working class party candidate. So it's a different party. It's a different party line. And he went and ran. And now the thing is that with Ed Hershey and with this Republican lady, they're just like, fuck it, whoever runs, we're going to run. Ed is running against Chuy multiple times. From the rhetoric that you're hearing from Byron, that, like, Chuy is the fucking devil, he's blah, 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 blah. You would think that, well, if he's so bad, why wouldn't you just run against him? You know, why wouldn't you run against him in the primary? Why wouldn't you run against him as an independent? Well, or like as a third party candidate?
That's a great question, yeah.
So why wouldn't you run? Myra is the same way. Myra barely even lives here. You know, she's somebody who spent she grew up here, but then she moved to DC. She spent her entire career in DC, and she moved back here to run for office, right? And so it's like, okay, but our communities do value people who have put in the work over you know, the years and have been part of our community.
Especially because so much of it is part of protecting. And sorry not to cut you off, but, like, when you're talking about this spot in Chicago, at least the part where I lived in, like, it's important that you come from your community because people see these communities where marginalized people live or working class people live, and they see opportunity to exploit and to buy up housing and buy up property. There's constantly this push from real estate developers and all these people that see money and opportunity in places where people have lived for 30, 40, 50, 60 years, multiple generations. So like having somebody to represent your community that can fend off a lot of these interests is important. So somebody who comes from out of state and back in, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, Andrew, and cut me off if I'm wrong here, but like there's a lot at stake in these places because there's a lot of people that see dollar signs and forget about the history.
Right. And I think the other thing to note here is that you're looking at, and look, I think, I don't know Myra very well. She seems like good people. But you're looking at somebody who's coming from the outside, all of the money, she raised a substantial amount of money for an independent run very quickly. And then she spent over $100,000 in signature collection. So the narrative out there is like, oh, like, you know, we knocked all these doors. Oh, well, you paid somebody to knock all those doors, right? Mm-hmm. And I've been doing this for a long time too. And so the question of the signature review is basically the process is you submit the required number of signatures. You usually want to triple the signatures that you're supposed to get, because if you do that, then like no matter how many are seen as kind of like not good signatures, then you're pretty much safe. And so they submitted like 17,000. The 10,000 was the required number, and then you look at that though, and you're seeing like pages of signatures that were clearly, the signature is like identical all the way down the page, so different names, but the same signature. And so, and it's very common, so that they call like a pattern of fraud, and so you see that, and so they'll disqualify batches of signatures because they can tell that there's one person who's getting paid per signature, right? So somebody will get paid $3 per signature or something like that. And so you basically have 20 names on a sheet, you're getting paid $60 per sheet. And instead of going out and collecting those names, they just write them all down themselves. They go through a voter roll, they write them all down, and they sign for all of them, right?
Yeah.
That is a common thing that happens.
That's the oldest trick in the book, bro. It's like going to the graveyard to find votes. Come on.
Right. And the thing is, that's what happens when you pay people, because now your campaign has to actually check to verify. And if you don't have a buttoned up operation, somebody's just going to hand you a sheet. You're going to hand them the money. That's it. They're gone. And you've got a fraudulent piece of paper, right?
Right. Some dude is like, oh, I can get 100 signatures in 3 hours and make $300, or I can make $300 by writing 100 signatures from the voter rolls in 10 minutes. Like, it's just that's why it's bad incentives. Bad incentives lead to bad results, which is why when you're out and you just got people volunteering on the strength of like your what you can do for them if they help you, that's why you get the best results. Sorry, keep going. My bad. This is all interesting, so I'm getting excited, but I have bad etiquette.
No, this is great. And so, you know, almost 90% of the $300,000 that Myra raised came from outside of Illinois, not even just the district. And
wait, 90% of the so $270,000 came from outside of the state of Illinois.
Yeah. And so it makes sense because all of her professional connections are DC connections. And so they'll be around the country, but DC money is either from DC or it's from New York or it's from another, you know, major political hub. It's not really going to be from Chicago. And so, you know, you look at all of that and you're like, okay. And at the same time, you have Byron has even worse signatures, right? And so Byron is not somebody who like really rolls up his sleeves and does a lot of the door knocking himself. But we have a lot of our friends in DSA and PSL and other kinds of organizations are very animated, and they really believe in his candidacy, and that's fine. But what you end up having is like a very kind of disjointed signature collection process, where you'll have, you know, sometimes if you're standing outside grocery stores and things like that, or bus stops, you're going to get people from all over the place.
Right.
And so again, there's this question of like, oh, it's voter disenfranchisement. It's like, but it's not voter disenfranchisement. If there's, and this is a true thing, like there are people who are signing whose address was in Texas, right? And it's being submitted. And it's like, but a Texan does not have a right to representation in Illinois' 4th Congressional District.
Nah.
You know, so that's not voter disenfranchisement. In fact, it would be disenfranchising
4th Congressional District voters if you allowed that person in Texas to decide who our candidate, our representative is going to be. That's disenfranchisement.
That's true disenfranchisement because they don't got
Right.
any. They don't have any skin in the game.
Right. And so, you know, you look at that and like, I'm not telling Texans who can be their representative. And so, you know, you look at all of that and you're like, okay, you know, you can, everyone can kind of nitpick at the rules and all that, but kind of to summarize, everyone had the opportunity to run. Everyone could have run, right? Not only could they have run, multiple people did run before Chuy announced anything. And then even after the announcement was made, a white guy from Lions somehow got 10,000 good signatures. And these 2 Latino challengers, not because they're Latino, it's because one's an outsider who's never run an election before, and one's kind of, you know, not a process guy, let's say that kindly. And so you have like this messy process.
Man. You're a class act, bro. I'm not a process guy. I'm a laughs guy, but I'm a process guy. All right, that's cool. That's class move right there. I'm putting my shades on.
So, you know, you look at that whole situation, and now I'll say that I think maybe the last thing I have to say about this is that the unfortunate part of all of this is that Chuy, after a lifetime of service to his constituents, to the Palestinian people, to fighting for human rights broadly and consistently and coherently, is now being attacked by many people on the side of Palestinian liberation because a Zionist attacked him in Congress. Like for a Zionist calling for his censure on the House floor triggered a bunch of local Palestinian supporters to call him, you know, all kinds of horrible things. And you know, to me is very unfortunate, and I'll say deeply hurtful. And you know, I've been in that cause. I've been in all the other lefty causes for a long time, and you know, it's really frustrating when it became inconvenient for us, for others, that Chuy was running for mayor. All of a sudden, Chuy and all Latino progressives on the Lower West Side were anti-Black, even though we've all organized with our Black brothers and sisters all the time. You know, when it becomes convenient or inconvenient for people who wrap themselves in a keffiyeh, then all of a sudden we're anti-Palestinian. And, you know, without regard for all of the work that we've done and the blood, sweat, and tears that we have actually shed to advance these causes alongside people who are really meaningfully doing the work. And anybody who's really meaningfully doing the work understands that we have been there every step of the way. And so I'm not Chuy, but I can say that we broadly are being maligned for, you know, being kind of part of a corrupt machine, a corrupt process, a corrupt this and that, when all I can say is that Patty Garcia is somebody who, you know, you were talking about, Steve, that you know, Chuy's district office has always been very responsive. I know that Chuy's district office would frequently field immigration case requests for the neighboring congressional districts, for Danny Davis's office, for Bobby Rush's district. And so they actually had the largest caseload of any district office, and they were the ones who were working overtime to do that. And in that office, I have not seen anybody who's worked harder than Patty Garcia. And so when it comes to the level of actually doing the work, of actually being there for the constituents, of actually getting things done, Patty's the one who's served at every single level of that operation and has supported all of the local progressive electeds to help make sure that people don't realize how much we have flipped the southwest side of Chicago progressive in the past 10 years. I got very lucky because, you know, the folks that I learned from, you lost for 20 years, from like the early 90s to the mid 2010s. And then all of a sudden I got involved in like 2015, and it just so happened we started winning every single race. And so, but that was the product of them fighting for 25 years without anything to show for it.
It's progressive, and anything worth fighting for, you never lose, you only learn, right?
Right. That's a great way to think
all
of it.
those quote unquote losses were not losses. We learn, we build. It's like that's what it is. Like that's what I was telling our mutual friend who took one in an election. I was like, listen, like we know more now. Like, and you don't. That's why the thing is, it's like they left it better than they found it, and then you pick it up where they put it down, and you keep moving it forward. That's why, like, it's cool that you learn from people who basically didn't have the whole like W next to their name and the D in the Senate or whatever, but like they like left it so that you could pick up the torch and like keep carrying.
And our whole generation of organizers, and that work was critical, because otherwise we'd be starting from scratch right now and we'd be in a much worse position, and we're already not in a great position.
Right.
And so, I think ultimately this whole thing comes down to like, you can be upset about whatever. Anyone's entitled to their feelings and opinions, right? I just think that it becomes damaging and unconstructive when lefties are punching at lefties and saying that we're not really lefties. I mean, I've been seeing people on Twitter and Instagram saying like, Patty and Chuy are fascists. What are you smoking? Like how are we throwing these words around? And these words have no meaning if you're going to start saying things like that. And so, there can always be a cleaner process. People can always, make major life decisions on the timeline that we prefer. And they can roll things out in a different way. But also at the end of the day, if you're really, and particularly the folks who are like most up in arms about this, I think are also the same kinds of folks who are saying, well, you should primary everybody, right? Okay, well, if you're primarying everybody, just fucking primary them. They'll live them fine.
Yeah.
Right. I think, Steve, to bring it back to the New York Times piece that you pulled up earlier about how DSA is, responsible for a lot of gentrification or ignoring like the actual community's needs. I think this is kind of a good example of where that perception comes from. Not to hate on our friends in the DSA, love all of them, but you can see with this example how that perception comes,
Yeah, and I'll just say, like, again, all love to DSA, all love to everybody, and not to single anybody out. The challenge is that if you have a bunch of folks who are saying Chuy's a fucking Nazi, right? And you're telling the abuelos and the abuelas in the neighborhood, and you're telling their kids, and you're telling people who like, you don't understand. Like, I grew up with Chuy as a household name, right? And Chuy was like synonymous with like the guy who didn't sell out, like the one elected that we could trust, like my entire life, right? Before I ever met him. And so, you talk about that, and it's like he has a greater significance to our community than people really understand. And now we've got a bunch of like mostly young folks, many of whom are not from the district, who are coming in and they're telling us that our person who has led us through our, dark days and good days and everything in between, is actually a fascist because he did one thing at the end of his 40-year career that they didn't like. And it's a procedural thing that is not impacting anybody's cost of living, is not making it any easier for them to get through the day, is not solving immigration problems for them. What that does is actually discredits them entirely. Mm-hmm. And what it does is it splits off the part of this like very energetic activist base that's making these really extreme calls and pronouncements from the broader, body politic, which is, more concerned with making it to the end of the day. And the biggest problem we have in the 4th Congressional District is voter turnout and engagement. And anybody who thinks they're going to get higher voter turnout and engagement because you're going and saying democracy is dead in the 4th Congressional District and Byron Ciccio Lopez is the only person who's going to say that because he's going to bring us to the Supreme Court. Like, that's not going to help anybody, particularly because Byron's going to lose that challenge because he just, frankly, like under the law, he didn't collect the required signatures. There was nothing stopping him from collecting the required signatures. He has enough organizers out there. They should have been able to collect the required signatures. There is nothing that was in the way except for himself and his own organization. The same is true for Myra. And so for both of those to be standing there and to be saying that, the democracy is dead, is that more likely to make somebody come out and vote for the first time who's scared of ICE, scared of everything that's happening right now? Or more likely to suppress that vote and make them think that there's just no point in engaging anyway. And I haven't heard these people talk about any issues this entire time. They've only been talking about process and how wronged they have been personally. And I think it's just deeply, deeply damaging.
It's also very manipulative to voters too. It doesn't give them actually informed votes. It doesn't actually, it's performing rage. I mean, what I'm saying is my own opinion. not reflective of anyone here. It is Performing Rage, because Performing Rage gets good feedback from lefties, and everybody's trying to take down the establishment. And it's very easy to be like the old guys, the establishment. Fuck you.
Yeah,
It's
and
very
everybody's
manipulative
fucking
of.
online.
It
It's
could
like
be my
man.
opinion, because my opinion's usually wrong and Meg corrects it. So you can speak on behalf of me. Sorry, guys, I'm having a good time. Sorry, I'm just being goofy today. But look,
You are very goofy today.
dude, Meg, you know me, man. I'm not even imbibing or anything. I'm just having a good time. I got my whole costume.
Where'd Andrew go?
Andrew, no, sorry, did I embarrass you? My bad.
No, you're good.
Oh,
Just have to jump off camera for 1 second.
So this is my patty cap. I haven't busted it out in a while. I hadn't found it in a minute. But with the mustache and the sunglasses, Meg, I feel like I got potential.
You do.
might-
You've got potential.
I could quit
Yeah.
Party Crashers and finally become what I've always been training to be, which is Brad Pitt.
Oh, I don't like Brad Pitt. But when he was fixing that house in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, whew, he was hot there for a minute. Otherwise, fuck that guy.
Yeah, he was hot there for a lot of things. Fight Club.
Yeah, he was hot.
Seven. He was hot for F1. I don't know. F1 is kind of giving like old
I
dude.
can't see. I couldn't watch it because he's like, I just am tired of these like white men who are abusers and get away with it. It's like I'm so sick of it. I just can't watch them.
Yeah, that's like I can't watch Annie Hall anymore because Woody Allen's a creep. I can't watch anytime I see a Miramax logo in a movie, I tend to I really rethink whether or not I'm going to watch it again. That's why we have the Divorced Dad video segment, because usually it's about movies.
Have we had this segment yet?
No,
Is
I'm
it a
gonna
new segment?
actually no, maybe Andrew will want. Do you think we've got all of our Illinois 4 out?
I think so. Do you have
yeah.
any?
I don't know.
All right. Well, no pressure, guys. I have a whole thing. I cooked up.
No, I want to hear. Yeah. So Steve has his new series, Divorced Dad Movies. Is that what it's called?
It's called the Divorced Dad Movie Reviews. For those of you who don't know, the city of Chicago, state of Illinois. I went to University of Illinois. We have a strong tradition in movie criticism, and like all things important, I find a way to undermine them with stupid, silly plots. Welcome to the Divorced Dad Movie Review. These are movies that divorced dads at the time of their biggest inflection points in their entire lives. They're moving out of their homes. They're whatever. These are movies that help lead them to believe that they were perfect and nothing was ever their fault. So this is one that I think is a very helpful one to reflect on if you're out there watching this movie. It's a great movie. It is a classic created by the one and only Michael Bay. That movie is Armageddon. Armageddon was a movie released in 19. I don't want ads. I'm going to continue without supporting. No, I don't. Privacy choices, private. Okay. So for those of you who don't know about Armageddon, this is going to get us a copyright strike. But Armageddon is a movie starring Bruce Willis and Ben Affleck. It got a 42 on Rotten Tomatoes, 73 audience score. That's the Divorced Dads coming in strong there. Basically, what's happened is that when NASA, led by Billy Bob Thornton, finds out that there is an asteroid coming to planet Earth that will destroy all of human history, Billy Bob Thornton and his crew are like, we need to put a nuclear bomb in the asteroid to split it in half so that it passes by Earth.
Is that what it's really about? I've never
Yes,
seen
that's
it.
what it's really about. And if you think that this is a bad idea, what if I told you that within 6 months there was another movie with this exact same plot line called Deep Impact?
What?
Yes. So
it was back in the days when the studios do like the dueling movies. Like every major blockbuster came out, the studio would make the same exact fucking movie.
And it was all original scripts too, which is insane. So this was written by like a 21-year-old guy. I think his name was Shane something or other. Not great. Gene Siskel gave it 3 out of 4. R.I.P. and namaste to the GOAT and his brother Roger Ebert. Both dead now. Roger Ebert, great line. Always said 1 martini, not enough. 2 martinis, just right. 3 martinis, too many. He was sober until the day he died. So Armageddon. We got Bruce Willis, who's the oil driller, who's living alone with his daughter and a bunch of rednecks on the oil. on the oil rig. They get a call from NASA. NASA's like, hey guys, we got to go to the asteroid and save all of humanity. This is kind of how I think of the Democratic Party. Bruce Willis goes to NASA with his crew so that they can train the astronauts on how to drill the hole with the drill that Bruce Willis invented. And Bruce Willis tells Billy Bob Thornton, this is the part of the Democratic Party, goes, hey man, this isn't going to work. What's your backup plan? And Billy Bob Thornton says, backup plan? He goes, yeah, you guys are NASA. Surely you have a backup plan. He goes, no, we don't have a backup plan. He goes, what are you talking about, man? You're NASA. You got guys in a room just sitting there thinking shit up. And then there's a guy in a room behind those guys in the room just thinking shit up. This is your only plan? You got 15 oil drillers with calluses on their hands. One of them, Steve Buscemi, who is definitely plays a sex criminal in this movie. His name is Rockhound because he's horny. And this is it. So they go to the asteroid, and Bruce Willis is up there. And
you're forgetting like the really critical, absurd subplot, which is like I feel like the movie doesn't it open on what's his face?
Oh yeah, with Ben Affleck. Good call. Yes.
Ben Affleck just like smashing Bruce Willis's daughter, and then it's like the tension through the
What?
whole fucking movie, and then it's
that's
like,
right.
why is this part of it, dude? Why?
That's why there's the Steven Tyler Aerosmith song, I Could Stay Awake. But it starts out with
don't want to miss a thing. That one?
yeah, with Ben Affleck and Liv Tyler in bed, and then Bruce Willis is the dad of
To
Liv
her,
Tyler.
wait, to her. Oh my.
So she's
That's her dad's song.
Yeah, no, it's her dad's song.
Tyler?
Right.
A lot of
This is
dad
why it's
stuff going
divorced
on
dad
here.
classic.
is
It's divorced dad intersectionality here. I learned the
Yeah, sorry,
word
guys.
intersectionality for this segment.
I gotta
So-
jump, but I want to catch this after you guys are done with it. I
All
gotta
right,
jump to a
all
call.
right. Love you, dude.
All
Thank
right,
you
all
for
right.
coming in and addressing nuance. Thank you, bro. You're the best.
Appreciate
Okay.
you.
All right, so Meg, listen. Okay, so
Mhm,
Liv Tyler is Ben Affleck's hubby. Like they love each other, and Ben Affleck works on the oil rig, and Liv Tyler is his Bruce Willis's daughter, and they have sex on the oil rig. And so the opening scene of the movie is Bruce Willis catching them and trying to kill Ben Affleck. Very divorced dad behavior. If your daughter is being intimate with somebody she loves, you should proceed to try and shoot that man dead.
Mhm,
No questions asked.
Of
Doesn't matter
course.
how he treats
of
her.
course.
So,
Right.
end up getting this team of oil people together, and then Bruce Willis and Ben Affleck obviously have a falling out because of the banging daughter situation and trying to kill situation. So then Bruce Willis has to ask him for help, which every divorced dad hates, and then they go to the asteroid, and then they have a lot of problems. It's very difficult. But then endably, what happens at the end of it, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the movie Armageddon in 1998, which played on TNT on repeat, which is another reason why it's a divorced dad classic. You can't afford Redbox or Blockbuster when your wife has taken everything from you, is Bruce Willis, who's the divorced dad hero here, decides that he is going to stay on the asteroid to blow up the bomb and not show up to his daughter's wedding and him and Ben Affleck make up. They make up because Ben Affleck is the one who's going to make the sacrifice play and stay on the asteroid to blow it up with the nuclear bomb that they had to drill a hole in to the asteroid so they could drop the bomb in there. And what they basically understand by the end of this movie is that Bruce Willis is the divorced dad king, because instead of going home and, he was just like, I'm going to just die. Because this is what divorced dads do, man. They just die. They don't make anything. They're like, you know what, man? I'm going to make a sacrifice play for my daughter. I'm going to tell her I love her, and I'm going to leave her with that. And then she's going to marry the man she loves, and I save the world, so it's all good. And that's why it's a divorced dad classic. He doesn't really ever come in touch with his emotions. He just stays a hard ass till the day he dies, when he saves all of humanity. Divorced dad, I give this
Nice.
movie, Divorced Dad, Rotten Tomato meter, I gave it 98.6%. I'm going to take 1.4% off because of Steve Buscemi's character being a creep, huge creep. The audience, 27% of the audience is not divorced, so they're wrong. Divorced Dad classic. What do you think of the new segment?
I love it. It's great. It's great. I do think it's time to take a more serious turn, though, because I really do want to talk about Madison, Wisconsin, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
But I do love the segment.
All right, good. I'm going to take my. Okay, let's talk. Let's get.
Take this segment and run with it, because this is fun. I like it. It's a good
you need an
palate cleanser
interstitial.
between serious topics.
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, let's get to
Yeah,
the
I like it.
tragedy of Madison. I'm gonna give you
Damn,
the
now I'm gonna have to watch all these movies.
yeah Armageddon.
Okay. All right. I will take over the screen. First, I want to give a content warning. We are going to go over some violence, police violence. So trigger warning, content warning. If it's going to make you feel upset in any way, go ahead and just move on to the next video. Make sure you follow us on your way out though. But okay, Madison, Wisconsin. There was a police killing yesterday and there were no body cams, but it was in broad daylight. So this is one of the few times that we get to see it from multiple angles, and it is horrible. So again, I'm going to give you a warning. I'm going to show you the first angle because it has sound, and then the second one without. And then I'll tell you what we know and what is going on now. Okay. PG Newsroom, post the first one. All right. Where did it go? There it is. Share screen. All right, you ready? This is just 10. This one is just 7 seconds. You
All
ready,
right.
Steve?
Do it.
Okay. Okay. Uh-oh. It is so horrific. It is so horrific. There is another one, another angle. And I'm showing it because like I think again, like this is just they don't have body cameras. So and I'll get more into it because I talked a little bit with a local organizer and they asked me to like share some things that they want people to broadly understand. Okay, so Lavish had
assassinated him.
angle. That is a
They-
fucking yes.
They
That is a
assassinated him.
execution. That is an execution. Where
That is
did-
an sorry execution. Yeah, that's they executed them, man.
So this, first of all, they say that he had a knife and stabbed him. He literally shoots him 3 times in the head and kicks him on the first shot. And then they fucking cuff him. They fucking cuff him. It is so brazen. And the fact that none of them have body cameras and this would have happened without witnesses. Like, I truly have no words. It's so horrific. It's so horrific. Okay, so the issue is, let me find the, so I'll tell you what the police say happened. And even we know the police version is going to be so sanitized in their favor. And even their version is like, this is so horrible. Corey Ruiz. Where was the plea? I read it earlier. Oh, this one? Okay. So what the police say, well, first of all, they talk about this. It happened like on the same street where previous police killing happened. And that's what I want to get into more because the community really wants people to understand this is a serious issue in the Madison Police Department. And we need to be demanding like full, like we need to change the whole thing. So the fact that he's even like recognized like the historical trauma, it's like, cool. That doesn't mean you've done anything about it. The police responded to a call concerning a person who was apparently checking parked vehicles. Steve,
Wait,
you're
what check?
you're echoing a lot. Uh-oh, and you're frozen now.
What about now?
Hello?
Am I echoing? Can you hear me?
You're not echoing, but you are frozen. Oh, you are
I haven't
echoing.
moved. I am echoing?
Okay,
Hang on.
you're good. No, you're good now. Oh, no, but I can hear myself echoing.
Oh, sorry. Hang on a second. You know you can do echo cancellation in your mic settings?
Well, I'm wearing my headphones.
Oh, I have those. 1 second.
Okay.
Sorry, I know this is.
Oh, good. I just want the echo to like distract people from the story.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Can you hear me? Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So the fact that this was a response concerning a person apparently checking parked vehicles.
That was my question. Does it apparently checking parked vehicles? What does
They
that mean?
literally could have just left him alone. They literally could have just left him alone. Like, it is so
He could have been
infuriating.
looking at himself in the mirror like I do when I walk by parked vehicles on my way to a thing. I could just be like, oh, hey, look, I just got a thing on my, like, it's pretty normal behavior. It's normal behavior.
Mhm.
And also,
Mhm.
I'm pissed off because the obituary says, great guy, loving, troubled. It's like, what is it? That's how anybody would describe me or you or
Yeah.
anybody.
Yeah.
It's such bullshit. Why are you using the adjective troubled? Who isn't troubled? He was checking
Yeah.
parked vehicles as horseshit. I look at parked vehicles all the time because I need to get a
Mhm.
reflection. You know, sometimes I'm
Mhm.
walking past a parked vehicle to look at the mirror to make sure nobody's going to hit me.
And
It's
even
normal.
if he was checking them to steal, why are you putting fucking property above a human fucking life? So they're like, he fled on a bicycle. Who fucking cares? You could have just let him flee.
He didn't flee.
Um,
He didn't flee from anything. He left. He left.
That-
There's nothing to
yes,
flee from.
he was
wasn't committing
leaving.
a fucking crime.
They had no
What are
reason.
you
They didn't need to stop him. Like, it's fucking insane. So then they caught up with him. He either fell off or was taken off the bicycle, which I'm going to assume he was fucking taken off the bicycle. They say that he produced a fixed blade knife, maybe because there were 4 fucking cops on top of him, if that is even true, which we don't know. And then one of the officers fired his weapon multiple times in his head. The officer is described as a veteran who was the only one. It's
What does a veteran have to do with? You can see the political Zamboni work they're trying to do. In case they rule it as a quote, there's no such thing as a good shooting, but police will say it's a bad shooting. They're going to say he was a veteran, he had PTSD. What about that kid? He didn't have PTSD. That guy didn't have PTSD from watching cops beat the shit out of people that look exactly like him
Exactly.
and or execute him. They literally had a guy standing on a cop's back 5 years ago for 10 minutes, so long that he couldn't breathe. You don't think that he has PTSD, that he's a veteran of something that's traumatic and horrifying? Why does it? What? Sorry. I don't mean to
So
get
this
upset.
no.
It's like,
Yeah, no, it's upsetting. It's upsetting. But what I think where this is important is not only did he see, I mean, police killings in America are rampant. There have been 6 days this year, 2026, where the police have not killed somebody. But what this local organization wanted me to know, because I saw that they are hosting tonight's vigil and that they're it's like the Milwaukee bail. Let me find them. The Milwaukee or the Wisconsin Bail Out the People movement. They said what's really important for people to know is that this is something that is a major, major problem in Madison. And that cops also are killing people behind closed doors. Kevin Price is somebody who was killed by Fitchburg police in August 2024 after calling 911 for help. He was shot 3 times in the chest in his own home. So there's one. Let me pull him.
Oh, you're gonna share it?
Yeah, Kevin Price, police killing. Okay. I'll share these, but I just want to make sure that like there is every reason for him to be scared already, but especially when people are saying that this is a huge issue in the community, like we need to
Can I
take
just say
that
something?
into consideration. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. The thing I was angry about is that you know, you can see them trying to like lay the groundwork for like saying, oh, the cop was a veteran and therefore he had, and then you can say, oh, well, he had PTSD. But like the thing that people, first of all, I'm not an expert at this, but my late great aunt Aphrodite did write a book called Vietnam Wives, which is one of the most first and most important studies of PTSD and how PTSD affected spouses of people that suffered from it. And I've been diagnosed with that. And like the thing about PTSD is that it doesn't need, you don't need to just be in a war to get it. I've never been exposed to violence, but I have it from other reasons. Like, and the important thing about it is that it creates a fight or flight reaction in you that you have a natural, it's like you feel like you're in danger, even though you may not be in danger. So if somebody who is somebody of color, like Corey Ruiz, has been surrounded by systemic violence by people that are wearing uniforms,
Generational trauma.
Exactly. Generational trauma. Everything that's ever happened to him, anybody he knows, not to mention everything he always sees in the news, which includes finding a way to rationalize the behavior of these people that are committing these crimes, aka the police. To suggest that a police officer is more entitled to a trauma response than someone that is powerless. Powerless is egregious, and it is totally bullshit for the mainstream media to try and sanitize that cop's behavior, because they never ever ask if a victim has PTSD, and especially in underrepresented communities, because they don't have access to public health care and mental health. So there is probably a disproportionate amount of undiagnosed PTSD in communities of color. So it's definitely underreported, and they never talk about it with victims, and it really pisses me off.
Right. No, exactly all of that. So this is one case that they wanted to bring attention to. 28-year-old Kevin Price called 911 asking for help. He said, there's an issue. We have no contact orders. We saw each other, and then he tried to break my neck. They said, where did this happen? And the caller said, you know what? Never mind. There's whatever. So caller hangs up, dispatcher calls back, someone answers but doesn't say anything. 43. Oh my God. 3 officers show up to the area. They say a neighbor tells them a couple was fighting inside the apartment. Fitchburg police say a man inside charged officers with a knife. 7 minutes later, the call log shows an officer shot that man in the apartment 3 times in his chest. It turns out he is the one who made the 911 call for help in the first place. There's each one of these photos of a beautiful person, an entire life that should be still here, each precious Black life stolen by the police in the Madison area in the last few years. Please think deeply about what this means and how their entire lives have been stolen from them and from their children, family, and loved ones. Each stolen life is a whole person who should be alive and here at home. To see the false narratives and lies and attempts to criminalize and dehumanize and justify the murder and execution of these beautiful lives, every single person should be alive and here and home, and this should have never happened. Justice for each life stolen. Each precious Black life stolen by police, agents of terror and violence and racism and white supremacy, they must be stopped. I would do anything to bring them back. Anything. Each one of these victims, I don't know if it's repeated, but justice for Rashad, Ajaya, Aaron, Kevin, Corey, Richard, Christopher, Elliot, Rodney, Brandon, Tony, and each of these precious lives stolen by killer cops and violence workers. So I just really want to make sure to amplify this. I don't want it to get lost. We have a moment to bring attention to Madison right now while it's happening, and I just want to make sure that we give it time. So here, follow these guys. And yeah, looks like they do a lot of good community work. Yeah, so that is what we know so far. It's horrible. It's horrible.
So
thoughts.
It's so it just I worked I have a complicated relationship with this topic because I worked in we watched my thing, the Copaganda. I worked on a cop show, and I know a lot of cops, and I also think that, and they are good guys, and I also think that the institution of police is evil. I think that the police force and the fact that you are weaponizing working class people to imprison and kill other working class people is inherently evil and needs to be dismantled. And you cannot have good apples in a bad system. Like you can have good people, but that it doesn't mean that they're not when they're wearing. That doesn't mean that when they're wearing. I never met them when they were wearing a uniform, right? I never met them. Yeah. I don't like, and so like, but I mean, ACAB, because if you're wearing a uniform, it's like.
Well, here's where I say
they may never speak to me again for saying that, but like
fine.
The truth of the matter is that it's very clear what has happened with the military. Like this is what the police force was built to do, going back to when its modern inception, which was slavery, which was enslaved people. And this is what police, so again, it doesn't matter. It's just, it's fundamentally wrong. Yes.
And this is where first I'm going to like pull up I just don't want to get anything wrong, but the history of policing in America is very fascinating. But this is where I say I am hard on systems, soft on people. So when I say ACAB, I'm saying ACAB. And also that I do understand that there are conditions that would make it because the system makes it so that they need people to end up being cops. They need people to end up being military. They need people to end up being able to do its dirty work. So still ACAB. And also I understand that the system itself pumps people out and creates them, conditions them. And I don't take that away from the humanity of it. And still fucking ACAB. Okay, history.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, but that's a perfect dialectic. Like that, I completely agree with everything you just said. Like, it's like, I know, like I said, a lot of the cops I knew were good people to me. I don't know what they were like when they were police officers. I don't, but I feel.
And also, you're a white man. You're not going to ever have the same.
I'm a white guy. That's the thing. And like, honestly, I've been in situations where police have approached me and treated me differently because I was a white guy. Like, can I tell you a quick story of a perfect example of white privilege?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I was on LaSalle Street in 2018. I'll never forget it. And there were 3 dudes. There was a black kid, he was 15 or 16. And he was surrounded by 4 dudes who were basically trying to beat him up, like punch him, like in a group. And so what I did was I went into the middle of LaSalle Street and I stood between the kid and the 4 guys. And they were basically punching each other. And I kept like getting hit in the head kind of because basically for me, I just saw it was like 4 white guys versus 1 black kid. Right. And then the cops came. Okay. And the cops are like, what's going on? And I'm like, I don't know. That's not my job, but it was 4-on-1. Okay. And then they said, well, that kid, somebody says that kid stole a phone. And I said, well, I didn't see that. And frankly, I didn't see him do anything except almost get his ass kicked by 4 people. So I was like, and he's like, well, you saved him. Why don't you go ask him if he has the phone? And I was like, no. I said, I'm not going to ask him shit. I'm going to tell him to go get a lawyer.
Again, property over people. Why don't you go make sure he's fucking okay? What the fuck?
Because he was just about to get his ass. He was just getting his ass kicked. And then and then he was swinging back over my head. And I just kind of stayed between him and like kept my hands down. Cause I was like, everybody needs to just like, whatever's happening is happening. I was like, but no one's going to let this guy go because all this stuff. And I'm like, you guys are like, the first thing you ask about is this lady's phone. And then you want me to go use what little trust he has in any of us to see if he can go convict himself of a fucking crime. And I'm like, no, fuck you. And I told the guy, I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And he's like, okay, well, this lady got punched in the head. And I was like, I didn't see him do shit. I saw him about to get his ass kicked by 4 people. And this is your job to figure it out. And just because the kid was about to get his ass kicked and you got called doesn't mean that he did it. So I left. And then I went to a fundraiser for my friend who lost her son in gun violence. So we helped her start a C3, and she's a wonderful lady. And one of the police officers that worked on the show was there, and he's like, "How have you been?" I'm like, you know, like red rock. And then I saw the responding officer there that I told off because he was working off duty, and he's like, "You know this guy?" And then the guy I was talking to was like, "Yeah, I know this guy's crazy." And he's like, "Oh, I know he's crazy, but I didn't know you knew him." And I was like, what does that have to do with anything? But it's because you know what I mean? That's what it has to do with everything. Because I'm a white guy who knows another white guy who happens to be a cop.
And
I don't
that
know
is
what
how the
happened.
whole system protects itself. That's how
Right.
the whole fucking system is set up, to protect white men and protect policing, because policing is essential to capitalism, to
Yeah, and it's
authoritarianism.
the cell phone over the kid. It's the cell phone over the kid. And listen, I used to work in high schools. I used to work in middle schools. I used to work in elementary schools. God bless teachers. But I know so many 16-year-old kids. And honestly, not a single one of them. I've not met a sociopath. I met one kid that was a sociopath, diagnosed as that, and it was abundantly clear. But there is not one kid I didn't know that did something stupid because they weren't afraid. Because they weren't afraid. And if it's just bullshit. It's bullshit, and the privilege thing is real, and all of these assholes that are like, "Oh, when I grew up," it's like, shut the fuck up. It's not 1970. Sorry, it just pisses me off. It pisses me off because it's the same people who complain about Lupita Nyong'o doing a great performance of Helen of Troy.
I want to see that so badly.
Me too. Sorry, I don't mean to go off on such a tangent, but like, is that what you mean by white privilege? Like, because it's like when a white dude's like,
well, yeah, it's a level of power that cannot be taken away from you that other people do not have. It's your proximity to power. It's like the assumption of innocence. Yeah. And, you know, just the fact that white privilege shows up in so many ways. I'm not going to break the whole thing down, but yeah, that is an example.
Well, the fact that it's safe enough to run into danger, even though that the cops may be coming, is white privilege. Like that's me. Like, because like that's white privilege, right? Like going to see some stupid shit go down and then go, hey, maybe I can help. But it's not. I'm not afraid of the cops coming up and shooting me because of And like, I'm sorry, but like that's true. Like I don't know that it's bad, but it's just true. Like,
yeah. So for people who don't really understand the origins of modern day policing, I have this NAACP history of policing. I'll go over real quick, and then we can go into McCarthy trials. But so slave patrols.
McCarthy to our next segment.
You're gonna save it to the next one? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we should listen. We should read this because this is a good history.
Yes. So here is the North Carolina
time, right? Mag, sorry, I get angry.
No, you're good. I, patroller's name, do swear that I will, as searcher for guns, swords, and other weapons among the slaves in my district, faithfully and as privately as I can, discharge the trust reposed in me as the law directs to the best of my power, so help me God. The slave patrols continued until the end of the Civil War and the passage of the 13th Amendment. Then slave patrols were replaced by militia-style groups who were empowered to control and deny access to equal rights to freed slaves. They systematically enforced black codes. Black codes were like, if you're black, you have to have a job, or they could pick you up for not having a job. They could pick you up for looking at someone funny, for trying to shake a white person's hand, like anything, not having an address, being home, being unhoused. And then that would put people back into the plantations because plantations became penitentiaries. Then when black codes were abolished, Jim Crow laws came up. And so then the police were used to enforce Jim Crow laws. And that is just always, like, this has never changed. It is such a poisonous system. And I just really hope that people take this as a moment to shed light on the fact that policing in America is just as fucking bad as ICE in America. And like we have to start hitting all forms of criminalization. And we need to start practicing abolition. So yeah, that is my little spiel.
All right. Well, I have all right. Well, this is gonna be our stream for the day. Thanks for tuning in. If
Mhm.
you're still watching, we're gonna be back. Me and Meg need to talk about our next stream, but I gotta run. But Mag, we'll connect after this, and we'll let you know about
Yeah.
our next stream. So take care, everybody.
All right, friends.